Hello, this is McD the Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today with my March Madness bracket for the 2023 March Madness tournament here for college basketball. Before I continue, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate if you do that. Really try and grow the channel, so go ahead and do that. March Madness this year. A few notes. I don't think there's really a top dog this year. I mean, hell, number one Houston lost their game to Memphis in the American Championship League. um, you don't really, as I say, you don't really have a top dog. So I think this tournament's going to come down to coaching a lot, if in my honest opinion. So I think you might see some lower seeds, maybe even make a bit of a run in this year's tournament. But you always seem to have a Cinderella story every tournament. I think you might get one this year that goes really deep, possibly to the Final Four, even maybe the championship. So we'll see what happens. But let's get into it. We'll go game by game. Um, Fill out the bracket, and then I'll tell you who I have winning March Madness. We'll kick it off in the South part of the bracket. I have Alabama beating this whoever comes out of that number 16 seed. It doesn't really matter to me who comes out of that. Bama will win. 8-9 matchup here. Maryland and West Virginia. Call me a homer. I am a Maryland Terps fan. I think Maryland beats West Virginia. And I actually think, without being biased, I actually do think Maryland's better than West Virginia. I think Maryland finds a way to beat West Virginia. I cannot wait for that game there, Maryland versus West Virginia. I'm happy that my Terps are back in the tournament. But to face a team like West Virginia, a rival like that, fires me up. All right, now to the 5-12 matchup. I actually like number 12 Charleston here on the upset. I think this is a coin flip game. March Madness is always crazy, always a bunch of close games, always a bunch of upsets. I need some upsets. Give me number 12 Charleston against number 5 San Diego State in the 12-5 upset. But I do like Virginia to beat number 13 Furman here. Virginia to me is just the better team. Number 6 versus number 11 here, Creighton versus NC State. I'm going to go Creighton. I do think this game is going to be pretty close either way, but I'm going to trust Creighton here, and I think they get past NC State. And I like Baylor here versus University of California, Santa Barbara here to get the win. The 7-10 matchup, Missouri and Utah State. I'm going to pick Missouri to win this game. I don't really know much about Utah State. A lot of Mountain West teams. Mountain West basketball is pretty good. But I'm going to go ahead and take Missouri in this one, in the 7-10 matchup. So go ahead and give me Missouri. And now I'm taking Arizona over Princeton. I think Arizona takes care of business. Now to the round 32 in the South bracket. Um, Number 1 Alabama versus number 8 Maryland. I hate to do this as a Maryland fan. I think Alabama beats Maryland again in the rematch. A few years ago, these two teams faced each other in the round 32, and Alabama I put together one of the best shooting performances I've ever seen in a college basketball game, and basically ran Maryland out the building by like 20, 30 points. Hopefully it's a bit closer than that because I would like to watch good games here in March Madness, but I don't really see my Terps doing anything in this one. I'm going to give that one to Alabama. I'm going to take Virginia over Charleston. I just think Virginia's the better team, so go ahead and give me Virginia there. Creighton versus Baylor. I'm going to take Baylor in this one. I could actually see Creighton pulling off the upset here, but as I said, I'm going to take good coaching. And both of these coaches for Creighton and Baylor are both really good coaches, but I just trust Baylor's coach more. Baylor, remember, he's won a national championship before, so I'm going to take Baylor, and then I'm going to take Arizona against Mizzou. And to be honest, I think whoever comes out of that 7-10 matchup between Mizzou and Utah State loses to Arizona, and I think Arizona takes care of business against Mizzou. Now to the Sweet 16, number 1 Alabama versus number 4 Virginia. I'm going to take Alabama against Virginia here. I just think Alabama has a top 5 team. Virginia, I think, is more of a top 20-ish team. And I think Alabama's the better team. So go ahead and give me the Tide. And then I'm going to take Arizona over Baylor. I just think Arizona's the better team. So go ahead and give me Arizona there. And now in the Elite 8 here for Alabama and Arizona, I'm going to take Arizona to come out the South bracket here against Alabama. I think Arizona, yeah, I don't think they're the better team, but I just have I'm higher on Arizona in this tournament. I think Arizona has an easy path to at least the Sweet 16. I think they're better than Baylor. I think this Arizona Alabama game's a coin flip. Yeah, Alabama might have the better players, but Arizona, they're gonna go ahead and they're gonna beat Alabama in my opinion. So go ahead, give me Arizona to come out of the South bracket. Now we'll go to the Midwest bracket here, Houston versus Northern Kentucky. This game I think will be the biggest blowout in March Madness this year. I like Houston to go ahead and just blow out Northern Kentucky. I do think that Houston. I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's not even close. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Houston in that one. Iowa versus Auburn. I'm actually gonna take the 9-8 upset here and pick Auburn. To me, this is a coin flip. I just trust Bruce Pearl more. I just do. That's what it comes down to. So go ahead and give me Auburn in this one. Miami versus Drake. I'm going to take Miami. Their coach's name always escapes my mind, but he is a very underrated coach. I'm old. Whenever Miami's in the tournament, I always seem to pick them to go kind of far. So I'm going to pick Miami here in the 5-12 matchup against Drake. Drake's a good team, but I'm just going to take Miami. Indiana versus the MAC champs, Kent State. I think Indiana survives against Kent State. This game will be close, Indiana Kent State, but I'm gonna go ahead and take Indiana in this one. I think they just find a way to win it. Iowa State versus either Mississippi State or Pitt. I'm gonna take Iowa State in this one. Um, I think it's a coin flip between who wins that Mississippi State Pittsburgh game. I think Pittsburgh um, is going to lose. I'm actually going to pick Mississippi State to get out of that one, but I do think that Iowa State goes ahead and beats Mississippi State. I'll take Iowa State in the 6-11 matchup there. Xavier versus Kennesaw State. I'll take Xavier in the 3-14 matchup. Don't really know much about Kennesaw State, but I'm just going to trust Xavier to get the win there. And then the 7-10 matchup here, Texas A&M versus Penn State. Two teams that are pretty hot right now. I think Texas A&M is. I think they're disrespected by this seed, number being a 7 seed. I think they're a lot better than a 7 seed, in my opinion. I think they beat Penn State in the 7-10 matchup. And then Texas versus Colgate. I'll go ahead and take Texas in the 2-15 matchup. I think they go ahead and beat Colgate. Now the round 32 here in the Midwest bracket. Houston versus Auburn. I am going to take Houston in this one. Um, as I said, I think Houston's just better than at least their side of the bracket, better than any team on their side of the bracket. Auburn and they're definitely better than Auburn and Iowa. So I'm going to take Houston. And then Miami versus Indiana. I'm actually going to take the 5-4 upset here and take Miami. As I said, I tend to pick Miami, go deep in tournaments. I'm not sold on Indiana. I'm just not. They never really seem to get over the hump, in my opinion, this year. I mean, yeah, they have some nice wins. They beat Purdue at home. But at the same time, I mean, they basically lost to every team in the Big Ten. So, and I can say that for a bunch of teams in the Big Ten this year. But I see like Indiana lost to all the top teams in the Big Ten. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm taking Miami in the 5-4 upset. Give me Miami there. I'm going to go ahead and take Xavier over Iowa State. Just trust Xavier a little bit more. 3-6 matchup there, so go ahead and give me Xavier. And then in the round 32, future SEC matchup in Texas A&M versus Texas, big rivalry game here. I'm actually going to take the Aggies in the 7-2 upset here in the round 32. Remember, Texas is running out interim head coach Buzz Williams. I think is an excellent head coach. I also believe, as I said, I think Texas A&M has been really disrespected this year, and I think it shows in this game. Give me the Aggies in the 7-2 upset there. Houston versus Miami. I think Miami's run ends. I'm picking Houston to win the Sweet 16 game between Houston and Miami in the Midwest bracket. I just think Houston's the better team. That's what it comes down to. And I'm going to take the Aggies against Xavier in the 7-3 upset in the Sweet 16. I think the Aggies could really go deep here. And matter of fact, I'm calling the upset in the Elite Eight. I'm taking Texas A&M to go to the Final Four as they beat Upper in Houston in the Elite Eight. Um, I'll be honest with you. I don't have too much confidence in it, but that's March Madness for you. But I do believe this team has been really disrespected throughout the whole year. I think they're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder, and I like the Aggies to get to the Final Four. We'll hit the East bracket here: Purdue versus Texas Southern and Fairleigh. Uh, I forget the Dartmouth, I believe is what it's called. Whoever wins that game, I think Texas Southern probably wins that game. Even though I think Farley Dartmouth could, or Fairleigh Dickinson, excuse me. I think Fairleigh Dickinson wins the game. I think this is a coin flip game. I think these two teams actually face each other a few years ago in this game for in the first four-in matchup on Tuesday or Wednesday, wherever they face it. I like Purdue to win though. Purdue will take care of business in this 116 matchup. Memphis versus Florida Atlantic. I just like the talent better. Not Florida versus Florida Atlantic. Memphis versus Florida Atlantic. I don't know why I said Florida. Um, but anyways, I like Memphis in this one. I think Memphis overall is the better talented team. Um, Florida Atlantic really hasn't faced anybody this year. I mean, they have one, I think, decent win throughout the whole year. I like Memphis to beat Florida Atlantic in this one. The 5-12 matchup, Duke versus Oral Roberts. Duke better be careful here, but I think Duke does take care of business and beat Oral Roberts. The talent gap is just too much. I know Oral Roberts went ahead. I think they beat Ohio State. Did they make it to the Sweet 16? I forget, but Duke, I think, takes care of business here in the 5-12 matchup. I like Tennessee to beat Louisiana. To be honest, I don't know much about Louisiana, but I'll go ahead and take Tennessee here. I think Tennessee is the better team. Kentucky versus Providence in the 6-11 matchup. I'm going to take Kentucky in this one. Um, I know people are making comments about John Calipari. He's the next Jimbo Fisher. He's the Jimbo Fisher of college basketball. Um, as I said, I think coaching is going to be key in this March Madness tournament because of how wide open I believe it is. I think they take care of Providence in that 6-11 matchup. Kansas State versus Montana State. I'm going to take Kansas State in the 3-14 matchup here. Don't know much about Montana State, but I do feel like Kansas State should take care of business. The 7-10 matchup, Michigan State versus USC. I'm going to take Michigan State here in the 7-10 matchup. They're a better team than USC, and I think it was shown in this game. And then Marquette versus Vermont in the 2 versus 15 matchup. I'm going to take Marquette in the 2-15 matchup here, number 2 Marquette. Vermont has been known to pull off upsets though in March Madness, so Marquette better be on upset alert in that. Now in the round of 32, Purdue versus Memphis. I like Purdue to win this game. This will be a very competitive game, but I think Purdue finds a way to win it. Duke, Tennessee. I'm taking Duke in the 5-4 upset. I think this game's going to be really close. I don't think Duke's really has the team to win the whole thing per se, but I do think they can still make a decent run. Duke, I think, gets to the Sweet 16 as much as it hates me to say as a Terps fan. Kentucky, Kansas State. I'm going to take Kentucky in the 6-3 upset here. As I said, I I think coaching is going to be key. I know Kansas State had a great college basketball season, but I'm going to take Kentucky. I'm going to just take John Calipari here in the coaching department. That will be the difference in this game, and they find a way to go ahead and win this game. And then in the 7-2 matchup, I am going to go ahead and take Tom Izzo, number 7 Michigan State, to upset number 2 Marquette. I'll take Tom Izzo over Shaka Smart any day of the week. Uh, so go ahead, give me Michigan State in this one to pull off the 7-2 upset. Now to the Sweet 16 games. I like Purdue to beat Duke. Purdue, in my opinion, is just the better team. As I said, I don't believe Duke has the team to really make a serious run, but I do think they'll get to the Sweet 16. And then in the 6-7 matchup in the Sweet 16 here, This is a coin flip type game for me. I am going to take Kentucky, though. I think Kentucky finds a way to beat Michigan State. I do think Calipari is a better coach than Tom Izzo, and I'll take Kentucky to go ahead and win this game against Michigan State. And then in the Elite Eight, give me Purdue. I think Purdue finally breaks the streak. They haven't been to a Final Four, I believe, since 1980, even though they had several good teams over the years. I'm taking Purdue to make the Final Four out of the East bracket. Go ahead, give me the Boilermakers out of the East bracket to make the Final Four. Now, the West bracket. I like Kansas to beat Howard in the 116 matchup. Number 8 Arkansas versus number 9 Illinois. To me, this is a coin flip. I went back and forth for this one. I'm gonna take Arkansas, and the reason why is I just trust them more. So go ahead and give me Arkansas. Even though I'll be honest with you, the numbers say Indiana. St. Mary's versus VCU. I seriously considered pulling the trigger here on the upset. And after going back and forth, I did. I'm taking VCU in the 12-5 upset. They're coming off winning the American. I think that streak continues. Give me VCU in the 12-5 upset versus St. Mary's. And the 4-13 matchup, UConn versus Iona. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said at the beginning of this video, coaching matters. Iona has Rick Pitino as their head coach. And you say what you want about him, he's a top 5 coach in college basketball. Iona pulls off the upset as the 13th seed against number 4 UConn, and they pull off the upset and make it to the round 32. Um, TCU versus whoever wins Arizona State against Nevada. I'm actually going to take the 11th seed in this one. TCU, if you haven't heard, there's a whole scandal, I guess, a scandal going on there. Where a player accused the head coach of being a racist or something down those lines, and I believe the coach is suspended indefinitely over it. Um, there's a lot of turmoil there. I'm concerned about the culture at TCU. I'm gonna go ahead. I don't know who wins Arizona State and Nevada. But I'm gonna go ahead and take whoever wins that matchup to beat TCU in the 6-11 matchup. So go ahead. We're gonna say that Nevada wins that matchup, and I'll take number 11 Nevada versus TCU. Gonzaga, Grand Canyon. I like Gonzaga to win this game. I don't know much about Grand Canyon, to be honest with you. I mean, I have funny story about Grand Canyon um, involving me, but I like well, not really a funny story, but I like Gonzaga to win this game against Grand Canyon in the 3-14 matchup. Northwestern versus Boise State. To me, this is a coin flip. I'm going Northwestern in this one. To be honest, I've watched more of their basketball this year. To me, San Diego State really only seemed like the real legit team out of the Mountain West. I think the Mountain West they have some teams, but at the same time, they don't. Those teams aren't really like elite teams that I think can really make deep runs. Um, but I'm going to go ahead and take Northwestern. They were pretty consistent throughout the year, in my opinion. I'm going to take them in this 7-10 matchup. And I'm going to go ahead and take UCLA here to beat North Carolina, Asheville here in the 2-15 matchup. All right, round 32. I'm taking Kansas over Arkansas. I think Bill Self will coach in this tournament, and I know about that situation. I think Kansas will coach. As I said, Bill Self will be on the sideline for Kansas, I think, in the March Madness tournament. And I think Kansas goes to the Sweet 16. I like Iona versus VCU, number 13 Iona to make the Sweet 16 here against number 12 VCU. So give me Iona there. And to me, they're the Cinderella team this year, making the Sweet 16 run as a 13th seed. I'm going to take Gonzaga in this 3-11 matchup against Arizona State and Nevada. Gonzaga is just a better team than both of those teams. So go ahead and give me Gonzaga. Northwestern versus UCLA. I actually think this is going to be a great game. But at the end of the day, future Big Ten matchup, UCLA wins this game against Northwestern. They are just a better team. So give me UCLA. Sweet 16 Iona's their Cinderella run ends. Kansas beats Iona. It's just the talent. Rick Pitino could coach his butt off, and I think Iona could still lose by double digits. So go ahead, give me Kansas there, and give me UCLA over Gonzaga. I think UCLA overall is the better team. I do not trust Gonzaga in March Madness. And I think Gonzaga and something was off about Gonzaga the whole year. They weren't like the heavy hitters they were. I mean, St. Mary's gave them issues. A few other teams gave them issues as well in their conference. So I'm not at so on Gonzaga at all, but I think UCLA beats Gonzaga. And then I'm going to take UCLA here to beat Kansas in the Elite Eight. Just a gut feeling. I think UCLA um, gets out of the West bracket. So, I mean, that's what I'm going with UCLA. Your final four. Number 2 Arizona versus number 1 Purdue. Number 7 Texas A&M versus number 2 UCLA. Let's get into it. I am going to take Arizona here against Purdue in the final four game. Um as I said, I'm just higher on Arizona in this tournament. So go ahead, give me Arizona to beat Purdue. I'm still gonna continue the Cinderella run. Texas A&M will beat UCLA. I do think that at least a fifth seed or lower will get into the Final Four and possibly the championship game. UCLA, in my opinion, um, as I said, they're a great team, but I'm just calling for the upset. I think Texas A&M goes ahead and beats UCLA. Now for the national championship game, I'm taking Arizona. I think Arizona is just the better team. I think the magical run ends for Texas A&M. I like Arizona to win this game. I'm going with a score of 83-71. I actually don't think it's going to be. I actually don't think it's really going to be that competitive. I mean, it'll be somewhat competitive, but at the end of the day, give me the Arizona Wildcats to win March Madness this year. So, which one do we want? The $5,000 gift card or the tour of the ESPN campus? We're going to take the gift card. So that's my pick. You see it right there. You don't need my information. Arizona wins right there. So that's the pick. They will cut the Nets down in Houston there. So thanks for watching the video. Hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe to your channel. Greatly appreciate if you do that. McD the Beast signing off.